Good morning. It's May 16th. Yes, it is. And it's doing it again. Maybe I'm the only one who can hear this. It shouldn't have happened that way. Anyway, I heard myself in my ear. It's May 16th. We're doing Ask a Traffic Cop. My name is Sean Shapiro, and this is a song that I didn't write it. It was AI.
Zooming down the highway, pedal to the metal, but oh my goodness, what's with the slow pedal? Speeders and slow drivers, they're driving me insane. Can we find a middle ground? It's a driving game. Lights on, lights off, they can't make up their mind. Flashing like a rave party, it's a scary sight. Entitled people acting like they own the street, but with their driving skills, they're just causing grief. Traffic jam, hear the honking, it's a symphony. Entangled in a mess, it's pure insanity. Special people making U-turns on your street, blocking all the lanes, don't you have some courtesy?
I like it. I like it a lot. Good morning, everybody. Once again, my name is Sean Shapiro. This is Ask a Traffic Cop, that show on the internet that answers your traffic and police questions. It is a show that is really for you, that is based pretty much entirely on what you want to talk about. You ask the questions, we have the answers. I'm a traffic cop. See how this all works? I'm glad that you're here. I really am, because without you, I wouldn't have what to talk about. That's not true. I can talk about anything. Truly. Need a sip of water. People are like, why is your water brown? And it's because I put this country time iced tea stuff in it, and then it's no longer clear. We're going to talk about Vision Zero Enforcement Team, and we're going to talk about where they are and what they do. See, they are a group of officers who focus on people who do that stuff. You know, the big four: speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, impaired driving. They are people putting lives at risk every day on the road. No. The drivers are putting the people's lives at risk on the road. The coppers are changing behavior one ticket at a time. Today, they're spending time in 13 Division and 53 Division. Those are the neighborhoods of Yorkdale, Glen Park, Briar Hill, Wychwood, Oakwood, Vaughan, Lawrence Park, Yonge and Eglinton, Leaside, neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play. And I was asked by our analyst, he says, why don't you post like where they were yesterday so we don't give a heads up to the folks who are breaking the law? And I get it. I can see where that makes some sense. Why are we giving people hints? Well, we're not really, because the people who pay attention to us are not the lawbreakers. They're not the people who are trying to make the roads less safe with their shenanigans. They're people who care about each other. It's a family thing. So if you do want to know where we are going to be every day, go to Traffic Services on X. You can go to Traffic Services Toronto on Instagram. You can go to Facebook. In fact, the easiest place to go is TrafficCop.ca, where I have links to everything on my link tree. We think about this stuff. We do it in advance. Now, if you're watching, you're probably watching here, because that's where we are. We are currently broadcasting on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and of course, X. X allows you to send messages now. X always allowed you to send messages to other people, but not to us, not when using Restream. And guess what? It works now. It's been working for a couple of months. We like it, but we don't see enough people who talk to us through X. You're watching. We know the stats. You're watching. But if you actually ask us questions, then we'll have answers for you, and it'll be all the better. Just another little indicator. If you got to go, can't stick around for the whole show, know that we are rebroadcasting. We're uploading our saved files. The show gets downloaded, uploaded to a podcast platform, redistributed everywhere, and you can listen to us while you drive without breaking the law or burning your data. So Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, Spotify, just to name a few. But we got you. We're thinking about different ways to make sure that you can get good information, and that's what we try and do here. Provide you good information that is free from, what ifs. Because while you can ask us what if questions, it's not the question of what if this information is incorrect. Because when you Google, that's what you have to deal with. Is that a trusted source? And are you understanding are you picking up what's being put down? Because sometimes people will put information that is incomplete or it leaves room for interpretation. We do that for you. We share information based on how the police perceive and deal with it so you can make better decisions on the road. And you don't have to agree with us, but we're going to tell you what we do, what we deal with. And of course, this is an Ontario-centric show because we're in Ontario. We're the Toronto Police Service. You go to different provinces, rules will change. Last night I was talking. I was talking on the radio. See, I was on News Talk 1010 talking about the young man who got a ticket in Saskatchewan for being on his cell phone on private property. Now, in Ontario, that's not against the law. It may not be safe, but it's not against the law. In Saskatchewan, it might be. They even have different rules for handheld communication devices. You can't even be using a like hands-free if you're a learner. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I was pretty shocked. So different things in different places. We'll talk more about that in a little while. Get to some greetings and salutations from Michaela. I'll flag that dad joke, which I somehow didn't miss this time. And a quote for later. Tim Shallow says, good morning. Awesome. Good morning to you, Tim. We got Paul who says, hello, Sean. Good morning, all. I wonder if that was from a particular movie or it was just a stuck O key. Let's see here. Paul says, oh, interesting. Yes. It's Paul's favorite word, Fonzanoon. LOL, drunk on an e-bike, hits a cop car. That's a Fonzanoon. So it's funny. My buddy texted me this morning saying, you need to talk about this on your show. And then, of course, Paul, you beat me to the fact that we're going to talk about that. Now, I don't have any inside information. I've not read the case. It's something that may be being investigated by outside agencies. Just the concept, though, that I want to remind everybody about, that an e-vehicle is, under the criminal code, a motor vehicle. Anything other than muscular power. E-bike, electric skateboard, e-kick scooter, go-karts, anything. I wonder if you had electric-powered rollerblades, if it would count. Anything other than muscular is eligible for criminal charges of impaired operation. You got to think about that. So for the folks who are riding e-bikes because they had their license taken away for impaired operation, then they get onto an e-bike, they're actually violating their disqualification. It's a bad thing. Anyway, it's going to be interesting to watch how that plays out. Brandon says, good morning, Sean. To the awesome community, let's have an amazing day. That's a great message. And always positivity from Brandon. You made me think about Mustangs. Anyway, Emma says, happy Friday Eve. This is Friday Junior in our office. So, yes, we are quickly approaching the Friday biz where we do Friday, and tomorrow is that day. So, exciting stuff. We got Julie who says, good morning, Sean and everyone out there. And we have Josh who says, good morong. Go morong, everyone? And yes, you Dodd Reber, right? I'm from I'm from Edmonton. I had to look at it and say, right, wow, okay. I don't know if that was an intentional typo, if it was an inside joke that I'm not inside on. Anyway, let's see here. Oh, Brandon wants to know if I'll be driving a TPS squad car around the track at Honda Indy. I've not discussed this with Honda Indy. We've done it before. John Carlo and I were on the track leading out a particular race of, I don't know what they were. They were like SUVs with silly high, suspensions that were doing jumps and two-wheel fancy stuff. And yeah, we did that a couple of years ago. And then last year, I went around the track in the Corvette with Kerry Schmidt. That was cool. I'm too tall for that car. If you haven't seen what I look like sitting in that car, my head sticks out above the roof line. Kerry and I are both quite tall. Okay. Yeah. Bob Jensen says, good morning, Mr. Shapiro. Good morning to you. And Josh is talking to Emma. And Randy McNaught says, good Thursday morning, Sean. All the best from London, Ontario. Thank you, Randy. I appreciate it. We've got Josh reminding everyone to please put the letter Q before your question, because that's the way I know it's a question and not dialogue amongst yourselves. Yeah. Just looking over here, I see questions in Instagram. Just so you know, Instagram, I don't always notice you. That's not your fault. You're on a screen all the way over there. I have multiple screens. You're all the way over there, whereas everybody else is here. If you want to be here, jump over to YouTube, youtube.trafficcop.ca or trafficcop.ca to choose one of the other platforms. Instagram is sort of living life on its own island. They don't play well with others. It's not your fault. It's the platform. I'm not a big fan. And I will say that nobody else is a big fan either because there's only a couple of you on the platform this morning. Okay. Can you advise what costs are for stunt driving, fine plus tow impound, not being able to get insurance after? Well, I did a video about it yesterday. So check out the video I posted yesterday because I did a play-by-play. And I can give you the breakdown. It's $1,350 tow and impound combined because of $210. Where are my notes on this? Let's see. $210 for the towing plus tax, $1140 for the storage plus tax, assuming you pick it up after 14 days and don't let it go on because it's like $70 a day. That's $1,525.50 with tax, and then you're talking about a reinstatement of $281 plus tax. I didn't know there was tax on that, but there is. And then there's cost of defense, cost of transportation whilst you can't drive anything else, so that's going to cost you. Plus, you're going to pay for while it's in storage. If you lease or finance, you're paying that as well. But yeah, it's all in that video. Check it out if you haven't checked it out. And Ryan wants to know, can police in Ontario give you a ticket for speeding other than using speed measuring device such as pacing your vehicle or timing how long it took you to cover a certain distance? So yes, they have to establish how they know you were speeding, but that's exactly what we do. If we're using a laser or radar device, we're measuring your speed directly. If we're pacing you, we're using our speedometer to achieve and estimate your speed. It may not be 100% accurate as to the speed, but we can definitely testify as to the fact that you were speeding, which is anything over the posted speed limit. So you can argue saying, well, I was doing 120, but he says I was doing 130. Well, thank you. You have just convicted yourself for speeding 120 because speeding is anything over the posted limit. People get into all these arguments over, well, how did you know? Was it calibrated? Yeah. Then if you look at aircraft are using time distance calculations, and all of that is good. All of those are acceptable means of sending you a ticket, or at least calculating the fact and improving the fact that you're speeding. Okay. Joe says, I just saw a guy on, and didn't finish the message. Can you wear flip-flops while driving? This is a question that's really, apropos based on the weather. You can. Is it legal? Yes. Is it a good idea? No. Those flip-flops can become dislodged, flop and flip off your foot. And what can happen is you can get them lodged behind the brake pedal, gas pedal, stuck. You can't press the brakes. You get the gas. Bad things can happen. They can just get in the way. Now, I will say that barefoot's not better, but not better for other reasons. When you slam on the brakes with your toesies, could get mashed up and pain sets in, and then you let go. You reduce the pressure, but you need the pressure. Bad things happen. So are they the smartest choices? Definitely not, but they're not illegal. I suggest driving actual shoes or things that can be secured to your foot. Like you can wear sandals that have or you can wear sandals whatever you want, but ideally something that cups the heel or has straps behind the heel so they don't slip off. Dappy says, hello, Mr. Shapiro. Hey, Dappy. All right. Does Crime Stoppers still pay rewards? I think so, but I don't know so because I've never worked with them or dealt with them other than talking about the fact that they're an awesome way to anonymously report crime. And for anyone who doesn't know what Crime Stoppers is, it's basically a arm's length organization that takes calls and actions things, but doesn't take your personal information. So you can make a report without putting yourself in harm's way. And look at that. Or contact Crime Stoppers anonymously at 1-800-222-TIPS. They also have like that website of 1-800-222-TIPS. You can also go to, is it www.222-TIPS? There's a whole bunch of things, but oddly enough, the Toronto one is 222-TIPS. And it's been like that forever and ever and a day. All right. We got. But they used to do rewards, and I can't imagine them doing it differently. They must. But I imagine you're less anonymous once you say, hi, give me a check. I don't know how they pay you without knowing you. All right. Is lane splitting legal in roads or highways in the GTA? Actually, lane splitting is not legal anywhere in Canada. If you go to Los Angeles, California, or California, I should say, the state is Cali, it is legal there. And even the highway patrol in California says it's dangerous. Be very careful. Be mindful of speed differential. But in Canada, there is no such allowance. If you're observed by a police officer lane splitting, and this is the action of driving between lanes, so you have car A, car B, and the space where the line goes, and they make their own lane in between, that's lane splitting the difference. And it's illegal. It's either careless driving at the lowest charge level, could be stunt driving, which is when we talk about the expensive stuff, or criminal dangerous driving. And it all depends on the observations and interpretations of your actions by a police officer. So it is subjective. You could end up with one officer getting a stunt charge, the other officer giving you a charge for careless. And you could have another officer who sees what you're doing as less of an issue. So it all depends. Now, when I say less of an issue, I personally have less of an issue with someone who walks or slowly rolls their bike at a stoplight up a few car lengths to avoid being at the back should someone who's not paying attention because they're on their cell phone and drives right into the pack of cars. Well, if you're this motorcyclist, you're in a real bad spot. So personally, as a motorcyclist, I can articulate and justify why that would be something that one should consider doing. But if the same rider was riding past everybody else and being a jerk, I would charge them. And if you were driving down the highway at speed, I would arrest them because that's criminal dangerous. If you're doing it at speed against 100 kilometer an hour differential, you're zipping between. Depends. Okay. Josh and Emma are chatting about stuff and things. Okay, we talked about this. Northern Pike says hello or hey, Sean and everyone. Thumbs up. What's going on, Northern Pike? Okay, we got. Is it legitimate? I don't know what characters we're looking at. Is it an I? Is it an L? It could be. I don't know why. This is like, maybe you were the same person who asked it yesterday 3 times, but I answered it at least once yesterday. I'd say go listen to the 2-hour show from yesterday. It was a 1.5-hour show from yesterday, but I'll be kind. Your paint marker, if it is one that is not capable of producing a muzzle velocity over 500 feet per second, is truly not a firearm. And it's not subject to safe storage rules like a firearm would be. That said, if it looks anything like a firearm or is being brandished and people are scared of you because of it, you could expect to be charged. But can you put it in a bag that is not transparent and carry it around for the purposes of going to a tournament or whatever? There's no issue with that. But if you brandish it, use it, fire it upon people, you're looking for a criminal charge of mischief. It's the use that becomes a problem then, or simply waving something around that looks like a firearm and causes fear, public panic, and whatnot. I just got to take a. Yes, we talked about this at the beginning of the show. We talked about it. We didn't talk about it yesterday, but I was on the radio talking about this yesterday. Where's M. Carroll? She's right above you in the chat. She was the person who posted something like, she's right there. See how that works? But she's in Canada. I can tell you that for sure. Cheyenne Lori Nicole says, hey, hi there. How you doing? Welcome to the show. I don't think you've ever posted before, so you're new, and we welcome you. Do we have like a sound effect for new people? I need a better sound effect than that. All right. Boop-a-doo. Kadir and Kabir says, good morning. Good morning to you. Who's at fault when I'm switching lanes and a bike rider is lane splitting? Oh, interesting. So, a cyclist, we're talking about a cyclist. If what they're doing is careless, they could be charged with careless driving because Highway Traffic Act applies to cyclists. But if you're making a lane change, you are responsible for making sure that lane change can be completed in safety. So if you cut off that cyclist, whether they are lane splitting or driving safely, you are at fault for the movement of your vehicle, which ultimately caused that collision. You're responsible. You have to have your head on a swivel and ensure that you're safe. They could also be charged for careless driving, but in terms of the collision, whether they eat all of whether you eat, I should say, all of the fault, or if it's split, remains to be seen. We charge for what people do. Insurance companies fight about fault. Okay. Canadian Ape, haven't seen you in a while. What's going on? He says, good morning. Thank you for keeping everyone informed. Well, Mr. Ape, I am glad to do it. This is something that I am quite passionate about. I really enjoy it. I'm glad I'm capable and able and permitted to do it. So as long as that keeps going, we'll keep doing it. But it's good to hear from you. Okay. And for anyone watching, like, what does he talk? We have a community here, folks. We talk all the time. This has been going on for years. And that's a long-time viewer. So there's names that I remember from all. I mean, he could be an imposter, but I don't think so. If you want to become part of the smaller community we have on Telegram, you can go to telegram.TrafficCop.ca. We have about 18 of us that chat once in a while, now and again. We even go bowling virtually because we're geeks. But you can be a geeky with us too. All right. What do we have here? I had a sticker of my license plate at the front of my car, and I got a front plate ticket. Yes. Did you not have so you had the sticker in place of a license plate? I don't know if you knew this, but your sticker is not a license plate. We don't accept reasonable facsimiles. You have to have your actual license plate mounted to the front. And I actually commented when it was a blue or a teal Porsche that had what was it? It was what the heck was it? What magazine was it? I was thinking Popular Mechanics. That doesn't make sense. It wasn't Popular Mechanics. It was a Canadian publication. They had an Ontario license plate sticker on the front of the vehicle, and I commented and said, "Hey, it's not legal." Car and driver, maybe even car and driver. Anyway, that makes sense that you had it. You got a ticket because you didn't have a front license plate. There you go. It's just all right. Just a reminder: put the letter Q in the question, so I know it's a question and not a comment or dialogue amongst yourselves. Hitesh Kumar wants to know about a recent assault in Brampton. I don't know anything about it, so I can't comment on it. But this is the traffic channel, so assaults generally aren't on my radar. I'm researching traffic law, traffic safety stuff. I train people and police about HTA stuff, but I don't get into assault investigations because it's just outside of my purview. Yeah. Can you cover... Oh, what is this? Can you cover an M rider that happened in my town, Ormstown, yesterday? No idea what you're talking about. I maybe if you, I don't know what you're talking about. I'd love to know what you're talking about, but I don't know. Can rusty rocker panels in cab corners fail an MTO inspection? There are no holes going into the cab. Tyler, I wish I had an answer for you. Boy, I got a couple back-to-back that I don't know anything about. I don't know. That's not something that I, as a police officer, if I was investigating and inspecting your vehicle, I'm just not someone who look at that. I look for gross defects, things that are on my radar, suspension, brakes, movement in the steering linkage, things like that. That's something that the MTO would have to answer to you, or a mechanic might be able to help you. G-Van says, good morning. Good morning to you. Okay. Stadium trucks. Yes. That's what they were. They were stadium trucks. Paul Tracy drove one. Right on. Where this is talking about what was the race that we led, John Carlo and I. By the way, I'm trying to get John Carlo to join me on the show more often. But he's a busy guy. We're all busy people doing busy things in different areas of the station. But I know he misses being on the air. He used to do a lot of radio. So I'm trying to get him on camera more. Other than the 2 seconds on video that, when we were driving around. Okay. Excuse me. 1D, I can't pronounce that. No, can't do it. Let's see here. We got, if a G2 driver is at highway with all the adults in car at midnight, is there any tickets? So for anyone who doesn't understand what we're talking about, G2 driver is a probationary license, and in the first year of being a probationary G2, or a G2 driver, in the first year, you have 2 6-month periods during which time you have restrictions as to how many adults or people under the age of, vice versa. It's how many people under the age of 20 can be in your car between midnight and 5 a.m. So if you're saying adults in the car at midnight, well, if they're 20 and up, it doesn't matter as long as there's seatbelts. There's no tickets for that. And if they're immediate family, there's no tickets, even if they're younger than 20. But between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m., you can have no more than one person under the age of 20 who is not a member of your family. And that is the idea, I think, is to prevent you from being distracted, prevent you from having, being the designated driver for a bunch of rowdy people while your new driving skills are still in development. And when you say, well, that's silly, let me put it to you in different terms. A friend of mine, John Westhaver, I think just finished high school or was about to finish high school, and he and his friends went out partying. Now, he and two of those friends were drunk, but the driver was sober. So 3 drunks in a car and a sober driver. Story goes that they took a turn too quickly, lost control, and 3 people in that vehicle died. That means everybody other than John was killed, burned and killed. John received burns to the better part of his body. I don't know if it was 50 or 60%, but he now speaks about traffic safety and his situation, and he's a motivational speaker. He's an amazing guy. Check him out, John Westhaver. But yeah, there's reasons why, and good reasons why, we want you to not have bad influences or people more so than you can handle in the car until you're ready, until you've got experience under your belt. And even then, it could potentially be a bad thing. Question about tint. Is a 70% VLT tint on front windshield legal? Depends on where you are. In Ontario, you are not permitted to have any tint on the front windshield. A big old 0, no tint can be on there. Now, if you're driving a motor vehicle manufactured before 2017, so it's a 2016 or older, you can have across the top 3 inches of tint from the top of the it's from the top of the windshield to the AS1 line, whatever happens first. But anything 2017 or newer cannot have any tint, and it is a charge. It's $110 as a starting point. What is the difference between someone who is registered in the insurance and someone who's not? Okay. When you are a motor vehicle owner or someone who orders a policy or gets a policy of insurance, you are the insured party. You are listed on the policy as the driver. In fact, they're probably using your history to determine how much things cost. So that's what that means. You're on the insurance. Now, the vehicle is insured, not the driver. You're listed, but it's the vehicle itself that's insured. And most insurance policies, unless they say otherwise, will allow you to loan your vehicle to someone for a temporary or very short-lived experience. In other words, can I borrow your car tomorrow? My car's in the shop. Sure, Bob, you can have my car. Now, there may be conditions that say if you're under the age of 25, you can't lend the car to somebody. Like you cannot be under 25 and drive this car. The insurance won't cover you. Now, the police pull someone over driving a car. We check to see if there's a valid insurance policy. We don't read the document and don't care very much about what the document says when it comes to, are you a person listed on the policy? That's not part of our thing. Is the vehicle insured? Yes or no? That's where it ends for us. But in the event of a collision or a situation where you're found out to have been violating your contract, the insurance company can deny your claim. And they can deny your claim because it's their policy. And they have an agreement with you, the insured party. And if you violate it, guess what? Bye-bye car. They don't pay for the damages. They may cover the basic liability where you hurt somebody else, but they won't cover your stuff. So if you're driving a $100,000 car, you just ate it, right? One of the biggest concerns or issues surrounding this is, let's say you have a child living with parents. The parents are the insured parties. Most contracts or most insurance policies require persons living in the same house to be listed on the policy because it changes the value or the cost and risk associated with that policy. If little Bobby's going to borrow mom and dad's car all the time and little Bobby's never been driving more than around the block, well, that policy is going to be increased to compensate for this new driver who presents a higher risk. Totally reasonable, right? They want to cover their asses. I think I can say that on the air. I just did. So that's where you need to be at it because, again, they will deny your claim. We won't do anything about it. They will make you pay, literally, in so many ways. Okay. Is an open edible container within reach of driver considered same as open liquor? Yeah, absolutely it is. You can only transport marijuana or other drugs that are legally in your possession, as well as alcohol, in a sealed from factory container. At that point, it can be anywhere. If it's broken seal, it must be in luggage, out of reach of the driver, or in the trunk. And that makes sense because you could just be consuming it, and that's not okay. So it's a thing. Yes. We talked about this already. Can you use your phone to load an app in the drive-thru? So we talk about this all the time because it's been 3 times. Well, actually, we talk about it all the time because it's a general topic. But we've been talking about it for the last 2 days because of what happened in Saskatchewan, and I'm sure that's what you're asking about. So in the province of Ontario, which is where we are with the Toronto Police, in the province of Ontario, Canada, you cannot be charged on private property for using your cell phone. That charge does not apply on private property. We can charge you for stunt driving. We can charge you for criminal dangerous driving. We can charge you for a whole bunch of other stuff, but we can't charge you for that. In fact, you don't even need a license to operate a motor vehicle on private property. There's other issues with that, but there's no charge to lay on private property. It requires you to be on the highway. The highway does not include private property. Saskatchewan's a different story, or at least it very well may be. I did some light research yesterday before appearing on News Talk 1010 to talk about it, and there's a whole bunch of other levels because they do, it seems to cover areas that are not parking lots. Like the parking lot that is commonly used for parking, the area that you're parking, when you're parked, you're safe. But it might include the thoroughfare, the areas or the areas that are actually being driven on and have access to public roads. Those might fall into the category of highway in Saskatchewan. I've yet to clarify that because I only quickly looked at it in their highway traffic code, their highway safety code. Then there's other considerations like young drivers, learners can't even use speakerphones in Saskatchewan if my interpretation of the law is accurate. They have special conditions saying even if it's mounted, you can't use it. Like you cannot use it. So that person may have been caught under that, which may extend beyond the highway, or the area from which they were in. And by the way, they were in motion at the time while they were using it. Yeah. Based on the fact that it was a motor cop who wrote the ticket, I'm sure that it was justified. And I mean that that copper knows the laws inside and out. You know why? Because he's a motor cop, and motor cops don't mess. There you go. Motor cops don't mess. Maybe I need to make a t-shirt. Okay. Noah wants to know why are speed limits arbitrarily lowered on some roads compared to designed roads around the limit. Sorry, to designing roads around the limit. Because slower is faster. No, slower is safer. I was trying to be all dramatic and messed it up. Slower is safer. So roads in the city of Toronto were the speeds were reduced because the slower you go, the higher the chances of a pedestrian surviving an impact. So in a 60 kilometer an hour collision, the odds are could go either way. I don't have stats specifically, but it could go either way. 70 kilometers an hour, they're not surviving, pretty much done. 50, 40, 30, the odds get better as we get slower. That's it. So depending on what the kind of traffic there is in that neighborhood, in that area, speeds were reduced to increase safety. And it makes total sense. It's a good idea. Nobody needs to go faster. People definitely need to go slower. And here's another thing. People are going way over the posted speed limit regardless of where you are. So I like the idea that when it's 30 and someone is an absolute jerk and decides to go 40 over, that's a stunt charge instead of just a speeding ticket because you need to have a lesson at that point. But it's not arbitrary. It's based on design. It's civil engineers and cities looking and evaluating how to protect vulnerable road users, cyclists, motorcycle riders, pedestrians. Like there's a lot of people that use the roads. It's not just about drivers. And I'll tell you, I drive the speed limit everywhere I go, and it's not that bad. It took some getting used to when it adjusted down to 30. I'm like, my God, it's like I'm going backwards, but it's not. It's acceptable. And you know how you make sure that you're not late? You leave early. And then there's no stress. You get to learn other languages, listen to podcasts, educate yourself. There's all sorts of benefits to having a drive that you can really enjoy. Yes. Okay. Have you ever had a moving traffic violation ticket? If so, what was it for? I've had two that I recall. One was for speeding 15 over on Highway 7. One was for running a stop sign. Both were when I was like 16 or 17. And guess what? They did exactly what tickets are designed to do. They changed my behavior. I improved. Granted, I was a brand new driver when I got them. I was also quite young. There might be a connection as to why people get tickets and their insurance rates are high when they're young. It's because they tend to do things that they shouldn't do whilst they're learning. But yeah, it happened, and I learned from it. And that's the goal. The goal of tickets is to change behavior, and it works for some people. Some people are just not capable of learning. Okay. What are your thoughts on the OPP requiring breath test for every stop? I think it's fantastic. I think it's a great way to catch people who are breaking the law that aren't showing signs of impairment, because there are professional drunks who look like they are straight as an arrow when they are not. And guess what? Even if they appear while they are pumped full of adrenaline on a police traffic stop to be sober, they're not sober. And they end up hurting people and killing people. It's not okay. It is impaired operation, and anything we can do to get that off the road is a good thing. And those people do not deserve to be able to drive at all. So, is it a good thing? I think it is. Is it lawful? It absolutely is. Is it a violation of your rights? Yes, and the courts have supported the fact that it's a justifiable one. Yeah. Look at the RIDE program. RIDE program where we arbitrarily stop vehicles and check for sobriety. Yeah. In fact, the police can stop any motor vehicle at any time that's being operated on the road to check for sobriety, actually, motor vehicle anywhere. So we can always check for sobriety, insurance, license status, always. Now you add the mandatory alcohol screening, which came in 2018, and here's what many people don't realize. A, it's not new. It was brought in 2018. We were always capable of utilizing it as much as we wanted. In other words, if we as a police officer, I decide, I'm Sean, I'm an individual, I am going out and I am going to be someone who checks every vehicle that I stop for a speeding violation or any kind of violation, I'm going to check them for impaired driving by way of a mandatory alcohol screening test. Now, if I have a reason to suspect, because they say, and they can't speak because they're slurring their words, there's an odor of an alcoholic beverage, I may not even do a test, I might just arrest them. But in the event that I have suspicion that they have alcohol in their system as opposed to not having suspicion, then it would just be the same demand that would have been read prior to 2018. The 2018 mandatory alcohol screening is different only because it no longer requires suspicion. It can be everybody who is required to blow, and that is perfectly legit. But what I want to bring out is they're catching people. They're catching people utilizing this because they're drunk at 9 a.m. on the way to work. Like, it makes sense. They're saving lives. Okay. Can I bike on the other side of the road where the cars are coming at me, irregular? Can you ride contraflow? So we have contraflow bike lanes, but generally speaking, you cannot go the wrong way. Pedestrians, if there's no sidewalk, can run or walk contraflow, but cyclists, I do not believe, have the same ability. Punky says, just offer them a bribe. They are all corrupt. Well, no. Although it's a good charge. When you try and bribe someone, it's a good additional charge. What a silly thing to say. Who obviously doesn't know anything about anything. Okay, moving on. Imagine if our toll roads timed your speeds. I've been saying this forever. That would be awesome. I was in London last year, England. I was in the UK. I was in Ireland, in Scotland. Like I went all over the place, and wherever I went, they have this where between 2 points they clock you in and clock you out, and based on the average speed, they do this in Australia too. They can determine your speed and charge you accordingly. They also have site checks where they do a standard kind of photo radar where they'll do a set speed by radar or laser in that moment. And what that allows them to do is give you a ticket for that and a ticket for that. And it's a great thing. I like it. Do you need your own motorcycle for an M2 test? You have to bring a motorcycle whether it belongs to you or not. You need to bring your own. Unless you are doing it with a course. If you take a course, and I think everyone should take a course if they're going to ride a motorcycle, they do supply you with the test. So you can do having never ridden a motorcycle, you can go in and start the course. I don't know if it's a Thursday or Friday, and By the end of that course, you take a test, and then they give you an envelope, and you finish that course with an M2. You might have to wait 30 days until you're eligible to file the paperwork, but you are qualified with an M2 at the end. Can I tint my windshield with clear tint? Tint isn't tint if it's clear. Tint needs to change the amount of light coming through. So clear tint is called a coating, but it is clear. It's not tint. So yes, you can put a clear coating on as long as it's optically correct, as long as you're not preventing light from coming in. Other than you can prevent UV rays, but modern vehicles have UV protection in the windshields already. So what would you be putting tint on? Now you got me saying it. What would you be putting a clear coating on for? Is it to prevent it from being broken? That's not a good thing because that might increase the amount of work that needs to be done to get you out of the vehicle, and could be something that works against you in the event of a collision. So not necessarily a good thing. I'd like to know why you want to put it. Good morning, Sean. That's a message from Peter. Good morning, Peter. It's a message from me. We got that. Let's see here. We talked about this. We talked about that. Jeevan says, I never wear sandals. Depending on your feet, that could be a good thing. I love sandals. In fact, I can't wait to start wearing sandals. I bought closed-toe sandals, which I'm really disappointed in. I like them, but they're way too warm, like way too warm. So now I want to crack out the Birkenstocks. Yeah. Okay, where a bunch of new stuff just came in. I got to go scroll back for a month. Hang on. Stand by. What do we got here? Oh, come on. So in case you're new to the channel, you have no idea what I'm complaining about. Whenever there's like 100 messages that come in, dumped in from TikTok, everything scrolls up and I lose my place. Okay. Can I replace dash info display on screen with iPad? This is a discussion that I've had with Sergeant Campbell. So I think if you put an aftermarket infotainment system in, it's an infotainment system. But it's not, if it's an iPad, technically it's an iPad. And the potential of being charged for utilizing a handheld entertainment device, even if it's mounted, is there. Because definition is it's not what, it's still an iPad. So there's a potential for charges. So I'd be reluctant to do that. It meets the definition for charges. So yeah, if it truly is the interface and it's taken over and does control your vehicle, it's not for watching movies, you might be okay. But you're playing in a new realm and you're utilizing stuff where the charges would still apply and you could get into a lot of trouble. Rob Milligan says, I wish you all the best, sir, but something is coming down. I don't know what we're talking about. Zombie's back. Welcome, Zombie. Good to see you again. 2 days in a row. This is like becoming a thing. Can a cop give you a ticket for the phone being in your passenger seat? If the phone is on in the passenger seat and you're looking at it or touching it, yeah. If it just happened to be sitting on the passenger seat, no. If it's on your lap in the driver's seat, yeah. It depends. It all depends. Everything depends. If I saw evidence of you handling it, touching it, stroking it, then yeah, you touched it, you used it. But if it's just, that's a storage place, that's where you put it, I don't see a reason why a ticket would be appropriate. But again, if it's on your lap, if you're holding it, the number of people who are driving like this, but I'm on speakerphone, it's hands-free. No, that's a ticket. All right. Painted stop line. What is this? Are painted stop lines and stop line signs at red light traffic control? What? Are painted stop lines and stop line signs? Painted lines are not. So a stop sign is a traffic control device. The line is a marker as to where you should stop. And if there's no marker, there's other rules that come into, whether it be the crosswalk or the edge of the sidewalk or the edge of the curb, depending on the situation of that particular intersection. Okay. Thought this was Bert. Yeah. No. I mean, Bert's a good-looking man. Don't get me wrong. I can understand why you confuse him with me, but y'all hiring? We are, and what a great opportunity it is for me to segue into a recruiting video and talking about stuff and things. Yeah, we are absolutely hiring. And if you are interested in a law enforcement career, then you should check us out. But I'll play this video right now so you can enjoy. I'll turn it down a little bit so it doesn't overpower you.
Your future career starts with a vision. A vision of opportunities ahead, where you can see a path to a noble career, serving the city of Toronto. Where do you see yourself? Toronto Police Service. Apply today.
I love that video. I think I like it even more like with every time I play it, but it's awesome. So we are hiring. If you go to the employment unit website, it's www.tps.ca/careers. You can go to this magical website, the website that I do not have on screen, but will have on screen. There we go. Smiling faces will appear before you if you go to that website, where you can get information about all the different positions that we hire for. Police constable, special constable, parking enforcement officer. Those are the main three. So police constable, that's what I am. But I started as an auxiliary officer, which is a volunteer position. Then shortly thereafter, I became a special constable. It was called court officer then because we only worked in the courts. Now, special constables work in the divisions as bookers. They work in the courts as court security, prisoner transportation. They also work in the division doing other duties, assisting police. So the very, very dynamic position, lots of different things you can do. Of course, police constable is the one we are most often and most regularly hiring for. Right now, there are positions for communications operators. Those are the magical people who take your call when you're calling for help. And then on the flip side, they have two halves. The other half dispatches and sends police officers to your aid. They are amazing people who do amazing work and are never given the thanks they deserve. I say that they do. Many people appreciate them, but they don't get enough. That's what I'm trying to get at. I love hitting this tab because this is the tab that tells you what civilian roles. Maybe you don't want to wear a uniform. Maybe that's not what your thing is. And I see that things have changed a little bit. We have some new positions since yesterday. Property and evidence clerk, forensic identification section, social media specialist, corporate communications, facial recognition analyst, intermediate technical analyst, senior communications advisor, communications operator, and developer in the digital team. These are jobs that you might know somebody who would make a great fit in addition to our team, helping support the people of Toronto, even if they're not being uniform members on the road. So things to consider. Don't wait. If this is something you think is good for you, these positions don't stay on forever. Let's look at the communications operator. This is open until this. This was posted January 30th. This one actually has no expiry, which is not helping my story, which is saying apply before it closes. See here, May 3rd posting, May 16th closing. That's today. If you want to be the senior communications advisor, you better put your application like now. Turn off the live, go apply. If this is you, you need to move before the opportunity closes, and there's no guarantee as to when it will come back. Things to think about. Okay. I have a question. No, somebody has a question. What if 4 people are sitting in the back seat? Well, hopefully you've got a back seat that has 4 seatbelts, because if not, somebody's getting charged. As a driver, you can be charged for having more people than you have seatbelts available. That's especially an issue for those that are in the learner permit situations, like G1, G2. If you are the person sitting without a seatbelt over the age of 16 or 16 and older, you're getting a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt. If you're under 16, the driver gets a ticket. So 4 people in the back seat, generally speaking, not legal. Whether it's because it was designed for 2 and you have 4, or it was designed for 3 and you have 4. Either way, it's not good. All right, things updated, and I lost things. We're 9 minutes away from where I'm supposed to end the show. Will we end at 11 o'clock? I don't know. It's always a mystery. I like to go long on these episodes. I've been doing 1.5 to 2 hour episodes for the last little while. Not specifically trying to hit a marker, just that I got lots to say. There's lots of questions to discuss. So, it's great. I like to give you a value. And that's what we do here every day, is try and give you value. It's a show for you. Now, I say this because I want to remind everybody that I'm not here next week. Next week, I'm on vacation, so there'll be no show for the week. Hopefully, I can share with you some pre-recorded content that will keep you busy and entertained, but I won't be here. I'll miss you. I will, but I'll be elsewhere. Yeah. All right. I do have things to do, so we can't go much longer. Maybe I'll go to 11:15. That's a happy medium. Let's see here. Mike Dalton says he was using it to open a Tim Hortons app so he could redeem a reward. Broken telephone's amazing. He was opening a McDonald's app, as far as I know. But it doesn't make it legal in Saskatchewan. Talked about this. We've got... What do you think of the kid that got a ticket? The laws wouldn't be appropriate here. We wouldn't give a ticket here for that. But if they broke the law there, then it's appropriate. There's nothing to think about. Either you're following the law for the jurisdiction you're in or you're not. It's not about feelings. It's about laws. They don't care. You do the right thing or you get caught doing the wrong thing and you get ticketed. I have dash cam footage of a car far exceeding speed limit fly by me on the highway. I have lots of footage of that too. In fact, I post it all the time to social media. Maybe there's a follow-up. Like, do you have a plate that you are able to provide? Are you able to measure their speed? So for me to lay a charge based on information provided, I need to know the time, date, location. I need to know the speed. I need to know the person driving as well as the vehicle being operated. I need to know all of those things in order to lay a charge. I love the footage. I think it's great. And for educational purposes, I share that kind of stuff. But without more information, I can't lay a charge. If you can at very least identify the vehicle, then we do take reports. It does start a paper trail, a case, a file on a driver. And when we pull that person over, when we observe them, then we can look them up and say, oh, there was a public complaint on January 22nd, and looky-loo, this person does this a lot. And it might change whether or not this person gets a break, a reduction, a warning, because that changes things. All right. Can I carry a BB gun for self-defense? No. What is this? What can I use for self-defense? Your hands. And truly the best thing for you to do is disengage. Truly. I mean, being a martial artist, I totally believe that you should learn how to fight. Because you need to learn how to defend yourself so you can disengage and get out of the fight, because fighting isn't really a good plan. A couple of good knocks, especially when you don't know who the other person is and what they're capable of, unless you're the truly masterful master of things, you're probably going to get hurt and it might go wrong. Getting out of there is the best thing. Disengage. But you can't carry very much. Now, what happens? If you have a ballpoint pen, people say, well, that's a ballpoint pen. But if you use it as a weapon, it becomes a weapon. Can you be charged for using a weapon? Yeah, even if it's a weapon of opportunity. Will you be convicted of using it as a weapon of opportunity? Everything depends. Depends on what you did. You are criminally responsible for whatever you do that is considered excessive force. So while the Criminal Code of Canada allows you to use up until lethal force to prevent yourself or another from being killed or seriously injured, if someone punches you and you stab them in the eye, and that's excessive force. It's too much. Okay. What am I drinking? I am drinking Kirkland water and Country Time iced tea spritz. Is taillight tint illegal? It does prevent light from going through, which means the taillight that was manufactured to be discernible at 150 meters is less so, and it may result in charges. It's not safe. Why would you ever want to make your lights less visible to those that it's intended to signal so they don't drive into you? Yeah. Michaud says or asks, hey, how's your day going? My day's going great. Thanks for asking. Actually, I'm having a good time because I'm always having a good time. And I don't mean that lightly. I mean, I really enjoy what I do. So coming to work is playing. And if you're playing every day, then it's not like work. It's a good time. Even when I'm doing what I'm doing when I'm not on camera, I enjoy it. I like the people I work with. I like the service that I work for. It's a good life. And it could be yours too, because you could join this magical place. Chen is late, but says, good morning, everybody. Good morning to you. What are the current penalties for driving while suspended or without a license? Without a license, I think, is $300, I think, just a simple ticket. Driving while suspended is a different situation because that's no set fine. That's going to be based on the courts, based on a range. And I think it's up to, I pressed the wrong button. Here we go. I'm going to look it up. Hopefully it gives me the range in an easy way. Suspended. Suspended. Come on. Does it tell me the range? Doesn't tell me the range. I'm not going to go into the depths of the act to find it, but it's more than $300. Yeah, Tian, we'll have to talk about this in the chat, and Tian's in the chat, so we can talk about it later. I'll look it up after the show. We got this. Why don't bicycles pay insurance? They use the road and have collisions. You're right, and I've talked about this, and cycling advocates think I'm insane and call for me to be removed as a media guy because they like, wow, you're blocking access to affordable transportation. And like, if we all play together nice and we all, why not? Why shouldn't you have insurance? And I will say that there was a lawyer, I think it's David Shellnut from Viking Lawyer, who said that, if it's not him, I apologize, but I believe he told me in a dialogue at one point that home insurance covers cyclists. Now, I know nothing other than what he told me on this particular topic, but if that's true, then there is an avenue to sue a cyclist who does the wrong thing, or to cover a cyclist in the event of, them being injured. But when a cyclist does something, more often than not, what happens, whether it's their fault or not, they tend to go after the motorist's insurance. So, but I don't disagree with you. Paying insurance and paying for licensing, I think, would be a great way to go. It would ensure a standard playing field where everyone knows the law, at least enough to get a license. But as I'm often reminded by the cycling community, the City of Toronto on their website says that they've looked into it and it's not feasible. It's not something that is reasonable or feasible because of expense. I think that's ultimately what it is. Is it a good idea? I think it's a good idea. It used to be done. You used to pay to have a bicycle on the streets of Toronto 100 years ago, maybe longer. License plates were a thing on bicycles. But now when someone breaks the law, how do you identify them? And everyone just sort of, I don't know. People complain about cyclists all day long. How about e-bike riders who are basically riding modified vehicles that are motor vehicles? Like they're motor vehicles by design, and then they get them made legal by purchasing one that confines to the e-bike legislation. And then they go and they pull jumpers and change switches, and then they're doing 80 kilometers an hour. Those are motorcycles. Those need license, ownership, and insurance and aren't even street legal. But they have no identifiers on them. Makes for enforcing laws on them difficult. What's this? Okay, John Mitchell Sr. We talked about this. So lane splitting, illegal, absolutely. And while stopping at the end of a line, if you mean sliding up so you're not the last person waiting to be hit by the person who's on their phone, it's still not legal, but it's articulable, it's justifiable, it's reasonable to slide a couple of car lengths in so you're not at the end of the line. I get that. Some officers will say lane splitting, going to give you careless. I think it would be hard to get a conviction on it, but that's just me. I think you could be justified in moving it, but you have to be very careful. And if you damage someone's car, you're going to be responsible for it. But what we see every day are people who are flying through stop traffic at 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 kilometer hour speed differentials from stop traffic, like just absolute insanity. Those people need to be stopped and charged, whether it be for careless, stunt, or criminal dangerous driving. We talked about this. Fab, well, these are from 1022, so we're 40 minutes behind in the chat. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Looking for questions. Drifting on empty, snowing parking lot. Thoughts? Stunt driving. There's no reason to do it. Go to a track. Yeah. Boy, I blew this estimation. Josh says we're about 15 to 20 minutes behind. Please be patient. Yeah, now we're 40 minutes behind because, hey, that's what happened. Oh, interesting. I've got questions about authority. Can you take a tractor to Guelph? So a tractor is not a road vehicle. Can you drive a tractor as a implement of husbandry being operated in a farming capacity on the road? Yeah. If you're driving it to Guelph, I'm going to assume you're using it as a mode of transportation. It's not legal. Did traffic officer has connection with parking enforcement officer job? Sorry? I'm not picking up what you're putting down. What do you mean? Like, parking enforcement has an office in this building, but I've never worked as a parking enforcement. Let me know what you want. We know parking officers, like Aaron Urquhart, who joins on the show and is on social media, is a parking officer. If you got questions, we should have her back in tomorrow. Can you drive in the USA with an M2? Yes, you can. M2 and G2 are probationary licenses. They are accepted in other jurisdictions that accept our license, but you must comply with the conditions, which means no alcohol. No alcohol. And for G2s, limits on passengers between midnight and 5 a.m. in the first year. Okay. Apparently, we're going to go longer because I'm going to try and get through. No new questions coming in. It's 11 o'clock, so I won't take new questions if they're stamped past 11, but I'm going to scroll through the ones that are already in and waiting in queue because you've all been very patient, and I try and help everybody. What is this? Alex wants to know my thoughts on modified cars. I like them. And when they're legal, I'll let them on the road. And if they're illegal, I won't. Modification doesn't mean illegal. If you are modifying your vehicle and it's still maintaining its legal, safe operation and status, it's fine. When you do stupid things with them, it's not okay. It might look cool. I might appreciate it as a non-drivable track car, but they have no place in the road. Question. Advocate for social justice wants to know, do you believe that I should have the decision to wear a seatbelt as a grown adult? Well, you do. But when you break that rule, you get a ticket for it. And I believe you deserve it because you need to be seated in that car or vehicle, whatever you're operating, other than a motorcycle, which doesn't have seatbelts, because in the event of a collision or a loss of control, you will no longer be behind the wheel if you're not belted in. It remains the number one way of keeping you in that seat. It's just what's required. And you enter into an agreement when you get your license that you're going to do the stuff that's in the rules. And if you're not a grown-up enough adult to follow basic rules, you don't deserve to drive. That's what I think. Can I drive a modded G-Power M5 CS at 275 kilometers an hour? I'm 6'3". What? What a silly question that is. No, you can't break the law. It sounds like you should be on the track. What is this? What happens if a G2 driver has more than one passenger in the first 6 months? Between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m., then they get a ticket. They're in violation of a condition. They're going to get a suspension. I believe they get a 30 days. Would they qualify for a 30-day suspension? I think they would. And 90-day suspension, second time for violating a condition, third time you get kicked out of the licensing program. It's not worth it. What's this? Boop-a-doo. Bon Jovi says, I ran a green light. Okay. What about changing your song on your phone or on the CarPlay at a red light or on a busy, slow highway? If you're touching your phone other than to answer a call or hang up on a call, you're breaking the law. And that is assuming you have a mounted phone, mounted to the vehicle, not held in your hand. If you're talking about using CarPlay, you can use CarPlay. You can touch your in-car infotainment system to manipulate CarPlay to an extent. If it impacts your ability to safely operate your motor vehicle, you are talking about a ticket for careless driving. What is your favorite donut? Bon Jovi, you must be new to this channel because I've talked about this many, 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 many times. And Bon Jovi, you spelled donut the American way, and this person takes offense to it. I'm just navigating the comments, but I don't have a problem. I don't have an opinion on the spelling of donut. I don't know which one is better. I know which one is more Canadian, though. Anyway, I have one donut that I actually really enjoy. All others could disappear tomorrow, and I wouldn't care. I wouldn't bat an eye. It's the raspberry filled from Krispy Kreme. It's the only donut I care about. That's it. Let's see here. Can I drive under my dad's insurance with my G2? If you don't live with them, their policies allow you to occasionally borrow a car, with permission, of course. But your policies like the insurance policy may say no. Badoo. What is this? Sliding through. What do I do if someone hit me with no insurance? If they hit your vehicle with no insurance, that's why you have insurance, because you still get covered. If someone hits you and you're a pedestrian, people ask me all the time, what do I do? Well, my understanding is that there is a fund. I mean, we have the Victims of Crime Fund. You could probably apply there. But I'd get some legal advice and see what can happen, because I don't have a specific chain of events that will help you, or list of instructions that will help you as a pedestrian. You got to find someone to help you. How come you're just online, cop? I don't know if that was supposed to be as harsh as I read it, but I am the online cop because I'm here to help you answer questions, traffic and police related. But I am a police officer. I used to be a member of the motor squad until someone hit me with their car when I was on my police motorcycle, and now I can't go on the road. I'm injured. I'm still dealing with long-term injuries and difficulties related to that collision, and as a result, I'm doing different things. Now, I didn't do this immediately. I was doing all sorts of other things. This came about and was developed because of other things I was doing. I was in a unique position that had skills and abilities that would lend to education, and suddenly this thing called the internet was made available, and we started doing things on TikTok, and it just blew up. So that's why I'm here online. But that's the reason I'm not on the road anymore. I would love to be on the road. I miss the road terribly. It's also a pay cut not to be on the road. Let's see here. Scrolling down. Is doing donuts in a public empty parking lot count as stunt driving? In the province of Ontario, doing donuts, intentional loss of traction, in a turn, drifting, all these things, wheelies, intentionally lifting any wheel off the tire, even attempting to take a wheel off the ground, doing 50 over the speed limit, doing 40 over the speed limit in an area with a speed limit under 80, or 50 over in a speed limit 80 and above, or 150 anywhere. Jackrabbit starts. There's about 15 different triggers that all qualify as stunt driving, and that could take place on private or public roads. The only place that's exempt are permitted events like the Honda Indy and racetracks. Otherwise, it's stunt driving. All the same consequences apply. What is this? Why not make all left turns green arrows? Left are always at fault when most are running reds. I don't know. Can we have radar detectors? Detectors, I'm sure is what you meant. Not in Ontario. They're prohibited to buy, sell, transport, use $180 and 2 demerit points. And we seize the item. We have full search and seizure authority under the Traffic Act. If we suspect that you have one, we'll pull you over. We have the authority to search the vehicle and all persons in it. Okay. How do I do it safely? Go to a track. Oh, how though I do it safely? No, you don't. Losing control of the car in a slightly controlled, possibly okay, is not okay. Somebody wants to know why there's accelerated licensing for people who are. I'll put the question up. How come immigrants don't need to wait 8 months? This is the G1, G2. So it's not that there's a de facto, if you're new to the country, you don't wait. But if you are from a country that we don't do a straight exchange, like if you came from the UK, I believe Australia, the United States, if you move here, you just say, here's my license. Oh, here's my Ontario license. Thank you. It's done. If you're from a country that doesn't have necessarily the same rules, you're required to go through an accelerated program. You still have to test. You have to do your G2 and your G testing, but you don't have to wait the time in between. And that's why. Because they were licensed somewhere else with slightly different rules. Oh, this is a great comment because I don't understand it either. Pete wants to know or says, I don't understand why people think it's okay to speed. Maybe they don't have children or pets. I agree with you. It's not okay to speed. That's why I issue tickets, or used to, for speeding. And I would do as many as possible. This person says, because you only live once. But you know what happens? You often live shorter or cause someone else's life to be cut short. What an ignorant thing to say. And then other people are jumping on side saying speed limits are stupid. Actually, they said not gonna lie, but they're not stupid. They're there to protect people from you. Actually, okay. Storm Gaming official says, good morning. Nice to see you again. We are halfway to the weekend. We're beyond half. Are we halfway? No, we're beyond halfway. Tomorrow's like the end. Yesterday was halfway, but I still appreciate the comment. Good to see you again. Pete says, maybe they haven't had anyone in their life who has died in a car collision. Yes, I've been involved with fatal collision investigation, notifications to the people who were left behind. It is terrible, but of course, everybody's invincible until they realize they're not. Let's see here. I keep mouthwash in my car. What happens if OPP pulls me over? I think we're going to stop looking at your questions because you're talking nonsense now. What happens? Your mouthwash is not a controlled substance for the purposes of a thing. Are you trying to say you're going to swish so you get some mouth residual alcohol? Oh, we've never seen anyone try and beat the system. Anyway, moving on. What are there set perimeters for laying a stunt driving charge? What do you mean? Like, are there specific actions that qualify for stunt? Yes. If you go to ASKaTrafficCop.TrafficCop.ca, you can see links to exactly what those are. What qualifies? All right, scrolling down. Talked about this. I love how these questions come in because people think that this is really funny. Are cops going to require breathalyzer before every shift too? Guess what? We already do. And I don't mean that for everybody. But when we are going out to utilize a breath device, we actually blow into it to register a test to confirm that it's working. And if it was more than 0, it's a problem. But we are checked at the beginning of shift because we parade for duty, which means the supervisor is responsible for ensuring that we are fit. And guess what? Sober is required to be fit. But I like how people think they're going to make these statements. And wow, scary. Carl Freeman says, good morning, Sean. Good morning, Carl. What's this? What's this? Josh is absolutely correct about the mouthwash. We wait 15 minutes. It's not a big deal. Okay. I'm confused about the stunt driving stuff. Speeding at 149 is speeding. Why is 150 stunt driving? Because someone made a law and said that that's the threshold. It's not just 150. It's 50 over if the speed limit is 80 or above, and if it's under 80, it's 40 over. But there's tons of other ways to trigger it. And at the end of the day, if you're worried about the 1 kilometer, if you're worried about being a speeder, the message is wrong. People shouldn't be doing 1 kilometer over. You should not speed. Let's see here. Oh, we're at 39 minutes after now. Doop-a-doo. Driving a derby car. Zombie, you don't say. Why do cops hide in the corner just to catch someone speeding instead of patrolling? Because if you're patrolling, you're probably not going to catch the speeder. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we're looking at high traffic or high volume areas that speeding is an issue. We have focused areas based on statistics where crashes occur, where we focus our efforts to slow people down. But some of us are patrolling, and the people who are patrolling are probably not doing speed measurement because it's different. But sitting and waiting for someone to speed, chances are they're in an area where that's happening a lot, and we're not waiting that long. But if you don't want to get caught, I got news for you. You can just not speed. The problem isn't the police doing things to catch people. The problem is the stuff that people are doing and getting caught for. Why does anyone think it's okay to speed? It's not. I'd like to see higher consequences, like jail. Speeding, jail. Straight to jail. Why not? You're not getting the hints with tickets for anything else. Why not just go straight to jail? I say that to be, to trigger some conversation, but defend yourself. Why are you so important that you should be able to go fast? It's not to get somewhere faster. You don't get somewhere faster by going fast. I know. People say, well, but you're going faster. I'm like, yeah, but you're in an urban environment. You're not actually sustaining that speed for any length of or distance to make it substantial enough to get you there faster. What I see people doing when they speed is go fast and then slow down and then go fast again because they got to be thrilled because they're still 12. I know, they got to be older to drive, but they're acting like they're 12. I would love this if the toll roads timed your speeds. Absolutely would love this. The technology's there. I don't know why they don't just flip a switch and do it. Okay. Boop-de-doo. Where'd it go? Looking for, I scrolled too far back. Oh, no. We talked about this already. Oh, no. Come on. Sometimes I scroll too much. What did I just press? You see, I went way past that. I missed, see, if I scroll too far, then I'm scrolling a lot. Riley wants to go hunting with a handgun in Ontario. I don't believe that hunting licenses permit for restricted weapons. When did I join the Toronto Police Service, and how many years have you been with the service? I joined in 2000. I've been with the service for 24 years. Now, I've done different jobs whilst employed by the Toronto Police Service, but it's 24 years now. Happy, long career. Good stuff. We have Linda Kosovac, who says, good morning, hero. Love and thank you all. And Linda loves that video. Which one? So many. Can I use my existing license plate to drive my new car to my house? If your existing license plate has an unattached status, then you have 6 days to use it. Unattached status means that it's not listed as attached to your Honda that you sold. It's unattached. You've removed it from the current or the previous vehicle. They're now unattached status. Then they can be used for 6 days. Otherwise, no. The Grinch. Hey, Grinch. Wow, lots. I don't know what your comments in relation to, but I appreciate you for being here. Okay. Why is motorcycle insurance insane? I want to get into it, but when insurance is more expensive than the actual bike payments, it's expensive because it's high risk. And if you don't have a course, if you haven't got experience, it's very expensive. I get it. Is it worth it? Only you can decide. There's a lot of factors. What kind of bike you're going to get? My first bike was $1,500. My second bike was $1,500. My third bike was marginally more. Back then, every bike after a certain age, like I had a 1979 Honda Hawk 400 Twin. That was my first bike. I think I had a Kickstarter on it. My second bike was a Kawasaki GPZ 550, and it was a piece of crap, but it was $1,500. And then I went into. Did I get into the Yamaha XS 1100 Special? I think I did. And they were all great bikes. But if you're going to get into a rocket for your first bike, that's why you're going to pay insurance, I would say. But definitely take a course. Don't do anything unless you take a course. I appreciate it. Still here with signing out flag for the show. All right, let's see here. Are pedestrians allowed to cross pedestrian lane when the countdown timer starts? Because I heard one pedestrian had a ticket for crossing the lane when he got caught crossing while countdown starts. You cannot enter the crossing or the intersection once the countdown begins. The timer is not for you. The timer is for people to get out, those people who are lawfully in the intersection. If you enter the intersection, on the countdown timer, you're eligible for a ticket. What's the ticket for driving the wrong way down a one-way? There's a ticket for, I don't know what it is, I've never laid it, $110 probably for going the wrong way on a one-way. Okay. Oh, another dad joke from the Grinch. Looking forward to reading the dad joke in a moment. Talked about this already. Is there a legal requirement to have a muffler, resonator, or catalytic converter? Yes. If your vehicle was manufactured and certified for the road without one, I mean, I don't mean certified from a mechanic. I mean accepted and licensed, permitted for sale in Canada without, like there are some vehicles on the road, tiny engines. Fiat, I think, makes one. It's got a resonator and it's got a turbo or two, and it doesn't have a muffler. And apparently that's legal. There's one Dodge that I'm aware of, same situation. There are some outliers there, but for the most part, yeah, you're required to have your catalytic converter, your resonator, and your muffler. We have Evandro. What's happening, my auxiliary police constable friend? My friend said he stopped racing with the car. They passed the speed limits because you started watching my channel. Say this again. My friend said he stopped racing with the car. They passed the speed limits. Okay, because you started watching my channel, I want to thank you for inspiring me. And as always, if we change your life, it means it was already worth it. I was thinking about this morning. Thank you, Evandro, for sharing that with me. But yeah, the deal is that this isn't about clout. I don't get paid extra for being on social media. I don't get bonuses from TikTok. I'm here because I want to help. I want to change behavior on the road. I want to make it safer for everybody. I want there to be no unnecessary deaths, and any death in relation to a collision is unnecessary. We had 45 people in Toronto die on the streets as a result of collisions. 29 of them were pedestrians. People who can't go home to their families, whose lives were cut short, whose families are suffering and continue to suffer because someone made a dumb move on the road. Even if it was a person who's like, whether it was a pedestrian, a driver, whomever is no longer with us. It could have been their fault. It could have been someone else's. But they're not here anymore. And it was because of a decision they made in relation to the road. If one person's saved, then we're all saved, right? It's one life. It matters. Let's see here. All right. Got it. What is this? Oh no, come back. Neo Gaming says, why do Canadian cops only use American car brands like Fords? Why don't you guys use Japanese car brands like Toyotas? Asking because I've never seen a Canadian cop using a Honda as a patrol car. We have very strict standards for what we need. For the longest time, the requirement for Toronto Police was a rear-wheel drive, full-size sedan. So I don't fit into Japanese cars, like any of them that I'm aware of. I'm 6'5". I'm a big guy. I drive trucks. I don't even drive cars because American cars are too damn small. So I buy full-size vehicles. When we are carrying not only ourselves, plus 20 pounds of vest and equipment and gun and things, we need room. We're working in those offices. We're living in those vehicles. Then we're taking prisoners. When we arrest people, we're taking them. We need to have a place to put them. So we have equipment and things, and the smaller cars just don't meet the grade. They're just not big enough. Maybe they would design a police car for American-sized coppers because we are Canadians and Americans. We're not that different. We're big people. Anyway, we'll start with a quote. It doesn't matter if you try and try and try again and fail. It does matter if you try and fail to try again. Charles Kettering. It's a great quote. I like that. I like it a lot. All right. Akela says, stay safe. Remember, don't have a good day. Have a great day. That's his sign off. But there's 2 dad jokes. So dad joke number 1. I'll get my finger hovering over the buttons to decide if it's a win or a fail. Someone told me it's impossible to make a pun about vegetables, but that's not necessarily too early. Necessarily true. I went to put the screen, the joke on the screen, and I pressed that instead. Can't win for failing. Okay, dad joke. I'm going to separate myself from the button. I don't want to, misfire. What does your Canadian friend cooking dinner for you have in common with the Empire from Star Wars? Palpatine. I like it. I'll take it. It's good. Just a reminder that if you, want to listen to this again, or you want to catch episodes that you have missed, you can go to ASKaTrafficCop.ca. We have links to all of our social media. And if you go to YouTube, you can watch all of the old shows. If you are, by the way, there's a lot of them. This is episode 61 just for this year. That means we do this a lot. And of course, if you want to synchronize to your device and listen to us while you're on the plane, train, whatever, maybe you want to listen on the beach in Maui. I wouldn't want to do that. But if you are interested in taking us with you and not burning your data or listening while you drive without breaking the law, go to Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts. You can listen on Spotify and a bunch of other places, but those are the main ones. Links to all that at TrafficCop.ca. I will be back tomorrow for Friday. That's the plan, unless things change. And I hope you join us. I hope you bring questions. I hope that you got something out of today's show, because that's the goal every day. We want you to get benefit. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. All right. We'll play the original, The Rock. Which one do we play? We'll go with the original. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. We'll play The Rock one tomorrow.
safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get freed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
So, I was asked to put up a question or to answer the question before I leave, and then there was a bunch of questions, and I realized also that not only were there a bunch of questions, but TikTok broke. So TikTok, after when was the last question from TikTok? It looks like this is good to know. Oh, we got a couple questions. We got Brad who came in from X. That's awesome. Oh my goodness, it was broken a while ago. I'm scrolling. Okay, like since 10:43. 10:43 was the last message from TikTok. So anyone who came after that, I apologize. I wasn't ignoring you intentionally. The system stopped functioning. But the question from we'll call him Sack. Are you allowed to have a valve muffler on your car as long as it keeps the car quiet as it would be stock? Asking because I enjoy driving my project car around but don't want tickets. Valves or valved exhaust systems that bypass mufflers are illegal to even have installed. If we see it, you expect a ticket. If we can figure out that it's there. It may not be an issue if you're never inspected. It may not be an issue if you never make it noisy. So what I'm saying is they're not legal, is what I'm saying. But they've been found, usually because somebody was doing something like using them. And oh my goodness, just another, and I don't see the rest of the name. Just another one says, why do people continue to speed through construction zones? Nobody else slows down. It's gross. People do such silly things in the road. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Why? And then someone says, what's the reason for police to speed in a town without lights on? Lights are not a requirement for us to speed. We're exempt from speed limits. We have to articulate why we're doing it. It's important to have a reason. It's not to get pizza or because you have to pee. But in the lawful execution of our duties, we can exceed the speed limit with or without our lights on. It's not required for them to be on. The only time we have to put our lights on is when we're going through a signalized intersection that's displaying a red signal to us. But we have to come to a complete stop first. So, Adriana, I get it. It looks frustrating, but there might be good reasons why we're not going with lights and sirens, even though we're speeding. All right, with that, I bid you adieu. We will see you tomorrow for Friday, 10 a.m. See you then.